first time you ever surfed? Do you remember?
I can't remember vaguely, but I remember the times, and you know, it was before I could even walk or swim. As soon as I could stand.
What do you think about Pipeline that's so unique and so the personality or feel of that spot? What do you?
Well, obviously pipeline's unique, but for me it's a personal thing. Just being a goofy footer, I feel that's one advantage I have, and I should take advantage of it. And pipeline is such a critical wave, you know, 10 to 15 foot. You have so much volume of ocean coming on down on such 1 foot of water, 2 foot of water, and it's pretty life-threatening out there, and it's also rewarding. You know, when you make a heavy 10, 12 foot drop, tippy toe to the bottom, your rail digs, and you pull it out and get in there, and you're standing in this, just one of the biggest ultimate barrels that you could possibly imagine. It's something else, and for me, that's where all the excitement comes, as far as I'm concerned.
Why do you think Pipeline has kind of been the proving ground here on the
Pipeline just exerts the most energy when the swells come in. You know, obviously you got Waimea and you have Sunset, but they're two different, completely type of waves. Pipeline is stand-up surfing. You know, pretty much toe-to-toe with the ocean. If you can handle that, you go around the world, you can handle anything. You know, that's where I base my knowledge on. You know, if I'm traveling somewhere and it's big and stuff, I just go, well, I surf pipe. I can surf that. So it's a personal thing with yourself to get out there, and a lot of guys out there, they know they'll be out there with 3 guys in the water during the Pipe Masters, and they'll still be sitting at Aukai Beach Park. So it's a personal thing, whether you want to do it or not. And maybe living in Hawaii, the Hawaiian, obviously you can't run in high, except there's a lot of town guys that won't come out to the North Shore when it's 10 to 12. You know what I mean? You'll never ever see them. So it's a threat out there, but it's a personal achievement.
Let's talk a little bit about your favorite spot here, where you left a little bit of your flesh. G-Land, first time out.
G-Land, probably 10, 12, maybe 13 years ago, was my girlfriend at that time, but my wife now. We pulled up, and they still had the little house on the sand. They call it the honeymoon suite, and we were staying there. I was there for 10 days, and it was incredible. To me, it was a whole another stage of surfing. I was surfing Hawaii, Ala Moana, Pipeline, and all these places. But when I got to G-Land, there was a whole new concept of surfing, just because it was such a perfect wave for so long, such a long amount of time. And there I was. Back then, it wasn't that crowded at all. And I could remember getting it like 10 to 12 foot, woke up in the morning, and nobody wanted anything to do with it, right? And it's like, you can't help yourself, man. I ran out there with my 6'10", and surfed G-Land by myself, 10 to 12 foot. Even 2 guys I was with, they also came with me on the trip. I don't know. That was a funny day, but I surfed the place by myself, and the place is incredible.
Pipeline versus G-Land. Compare the waves and contrast the waves. The tube, actually.
The tube, completely different. You can get a few visions of G-Land at Pipe, and probably a few visions of Pipe at G-Land, but you won't get none of the same. G-Land, the lip is a lot thinner. The tube is definitely a lot longer, and you don't get to surf it in the 10 to 15 foot range, in control. maybe 10 foot, and it's more of a perfect setup wave. You know where the lineup is, you know where the wave's coming, and majority of the time you know where it's going to tube and where it's going to not. And pipeline, you know that too, but you don't know how to get there. You know what I mean? When it's that big, it's more, can you make the drop before you can get in the tube? And G-Land's like, you know, it's a cakewalk. You just paddle into it. You know, you're in control. You're in the driver's seat. Where a pipeline, the waves in the driver's seat, as far as I'm concerned. So that's the big difference.
How does it, being on the edge of the jungle, how do you like the environment of G-Land? Does that add to the mystique and sort of?
Oh, there's mystique there. You know, this year when I was there, every year, even just when I get to Bali, and then when you get to G-Land, it's like, I think you got to take your offerings over there. You know, we had offerings, but I never actually took them up that day, and I could feel it in the air. You know, I felt, as soon as I got there, I was calling Bali Magic, and you know, before I paddled out, I looked at Poto. You know, this last year, looked at him. I saw, gotta relax. You know, the waves are just perfect, 6 foot. Relax, catch yourself. You know, we just traveled forever. We're tired than anything, but you got this inside energy because the ocean is just calling. So I traveled for 2 days, and then I surfed for 3 hours just on pure adrenaline. You know, and that's what that place does to you. And before I went out, I told myself relax. And before I caught the wave, I just talked to Tom Carroll and told him, because he hurt his hand. And he's like, oh, I hurt my hand. And we were just battling out there, you know what I mean? Just that speed, and I'm all, yeah, I gotta slow down. Told myself that before I paddled out. And you know, the very next wave, it's like my life ended. I couldn't believe it. I'm looking down at my leg. It's 2 inches open wide, 4 inches, 5 inches long, and I'm like, you know, could not understand. And it's, you know, why did I have? You wonder if you bring it on to yourself or not. But to me, that's the place, the mystique about that place. You watch your step, one step at a time out there. You know what I mean? I was already so ahead of myself, having way too much fun. You know, 3 hours, traveling for 2 days. Everything stopped right there. It was a good reality check, I guess you could say, for me. Just when you think you got it all, but you never have it all, but just when you think you're doing good, it's a little humble pie, and that's what happened to me. But I'm all right. Yeah, I'm glad. It could have been a lot worse.
If you kind of reflect back on your professional surfing career, you know, especially now that you're kind of rehabilitating, any high points? What's the highest point you think in your surfing career?
The highest point for me was just being able to be out there and making a name for my whole family. You know, bringing my family out to the North Shore, buying a house, taking care of my mom. You know, which, you know, anybody would love to do, and along with everybody else in my family, that would be my biggest achievement, most definitely. And you know, obviously, winning a world title is to me, it's just a bonus, you know, that comes along with everything. It didn't come easy, you know, it took a long time, but just being the first Hawaiian world champion and to win a world title, you know, it has to be, you know, it feels really good for myself.